Let's swing open the farm gate together every day on WHOW. I'm Stu Ellis, your host of the long-running agriculture feature called The Farm Gate. I bring the latest news and information on where agriculture is and where it's going to WHOW Ag listeners several times a day. From tariffs to treaties, from the Board of Trade to the running board on your truck, I cover Central Illinois agriculture every day on The Farm Gate. Hear it all on WHOW's many platforms on the radio or online. Join me, Stu Ellis, for The Farm Gate.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Terry Ferguson. He is the vice chair of the DeWitt County Board. We follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. Good to see you, Terry.
Hey, how you doing, Seth?
I'm doing well. It's been a while since we've had you in here.
It has,
so
hasn't
it has, but we appreciate you making time and filling in for Chair Dan Matthews. I know he's out of town this week. So, yeah, thanks for stepping up and doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, Terry, let's dive into that Thursday meeting. And, of course, we've got a lot to get to, as always. DeWitt County Board last night. More discussion about the wind farm and the ordinance surrounding that. Talk about last night's discussion.
Yeah, we had a update about the status of the wind farm and its completion and when they're going to go live. And they've got, it's kind of one of these deals to close out the agreement with the drainage district. There's a check that's in the mail. You know how that goes. They've said it was put in the mail earlier this week. And as soon as the drainage district gets that check and gets an agreement on one area that they messed up with their construction, and it's too muddy to repair right now. So they're going to come to an agreement on that. And once the drainage district has their meeting to approve that, that'll be complete. And then the only other really condition that they haven't met yet is back in December, we gave them a list of things they needed to do. And one of them was to finish making the signs read like they're supposed to, according to the agreement that they prepared. And so far they haven't done that yet, but they're claiming that will be done this week, but today's this week. So
that's true. Yeah.
But you know, I assume maybe they'll get everything done by the end of next week, and the wind farm will be ready to go into production.
Yeah, I talked to their folks a week or so ago, and they were hoping the end of the month kind of would be that. But, you know, folks have seen the windmills spinning themselves. From what I understand, that's part of the commissioning process.
Yes, they gotta test them all out.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason why you're seeing some of those at work already. So hopefully we have that operational by the end of the month, and of course that's going to be tax dollars coming into the community once that happens.
We'll be able to put it on the tax rolls and collect a partial year this year, and then next year we'll get the full amount. But the one of the other things that people have been asking about is the whether or not the curtailment agreement is in place, and there's been negotiations with the weather bureau over in Lincoln, and they've got some tests they got to do after it goes live, to make sure it's all working. And the same thing with the ADLS lighting. That'll be turned on after they're up and producing electricity.
Okay. Yeah, well, I wondered about that because I saw the lights going and that sort of thing, and I thought there's probably folks out there not too happy about that right now.
Yeah,
so
but you know, it's order of procedures they got to follow.
Yeah. It's going really slow. I would have thought this would have gone a lot quicker, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You know, they said earlier early fall that they'd be up and going by November.
Yeah, I know, right?
So it's 5 months later now.
It is, but they're up and going. And so also, Terry, some discussion around the ordinances themselves. You know, I know that's been a point of emphasis the last couple of years, is reevaluating those. And then of course you had the wrinkle with the state of Illinois stepping in last year and kind of issuing their own edicts on it. So how about that?
Yes, we've been working on the local ordinance for the solar and wind, of updating them, and put a lot of hard work and a lot of hours of time with the RPC and the ZBA on those. And then the state of Illinois passed their new rules that have to be in place by May 22nd. And Land Use Committee put together their suggestions on how to comply with the state law, the new state law. Currently, the state's attorney is reviewing it, and he's already found some issues that need to be tweaked. And I guess we really got about 3 weeks. Our next meeting's the 18th of May, and it'll have to be approved by then to be in compliance with the state law. And just so happens that there's 2 and maybe 3 solar entities that are chomping at the bit. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of interest once the new rules take place.
Yeah. How's that discussion going? I mean, what's been kind of the point of emphasis around those
Well,
talks?
they're just kind of questioning, when's this gonna, when are you gonna have the new guidelines in place?
No. I mean the the land used RPC ZBA. What are their points of emphasis with those talks lately?
Well, of course, they were wanting to completely revamp the wind ordinance. They'd pretty well done that with solar earlier, and changed some things to make it a little more community friendly with non-participating people, and change the setbacks, maybe make the setbacks a little farther from the non-participating homes. But the state, of course, has changed that, and our current 1,500-foot setback from a residence is now, for the height of these towers, has now been reduced to 1,250 feet.
So when it comes to all those state mandates, I mean, I guess what happens, because you like you said, you've worked real hard on this for the last couple of years, and even prior to that, to get to where we are today. And the state just steps in and says, this is what you're going to do. What happens to all that work you've done?
It's just kind of out the window,
down the toilet, huh?
That's what we're looking at right now to see. The states identified the rules that they want, and the RPC is looking at things that we can add to that don't violate the state law.
Okay, like what?
Oh, like the performing sound studies on a regular basis. I think they're looking at stuff dealing with shadow flicker and that type of issues. The solar issue, our ordinance says they have to be 750 feet away from a non-participating house. The state rules are that they only have to be 100 feet.
Oh, wow.
So there's a big discrepancy. And for somebody that's maybe out in the middle of one of those operations, it really, what the state's done is really not fair.
Yeah. Well, and so that then again, our guest in studio, by the way, Terry Ferguson, he is the vice chair of the DeWitt County Board, in studio today, following up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. So, a couple of things. A developer comes to the county and says, okay, DeWitt County, we want to develop this project. It meets all the state guidelines. You have to let us do that. What happens?
Well, that's kind of the weird part. There's part of the state statute that says the county has to hold a hearing and to determine whether or not the project proposal will meet the standards, and this and that kind of gives you the feeling that maybe the county does have a say on whether or not the project can be built here in DeWitt County.
Sure.
But then there's another part of the ordinance that said if they meet all the criteria of the legislation, first of all, your ordinance has to comply with the legislation, and then if they meet the criteria of the legislation, then the project has to be given a permit within 30 days.
Right.
And, it's really kind of weird. It's kind of like they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth.
Well, it's just well put together legislation, like Springfield always comes up with.
It seems
Terry.
that way.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah. They just always have it down. It's just always well put together coming out of Springfield.
Leave you a little bit of confusion, and
But okay, so then that happens. Let's say, like in your scenario, they come to you, and it sounds like the county's got a little bit of say in whether something happens or not, and then they meet all the criteria. The county still says, no, we're not going to do this. But it seems like the developer can sue the county because
I have a feeling that's what'll happen.
Yeah.
And,
So
there's the state's attorneys doing the review of our proposed wind ordinance up and solar updates to comply with the legislation.
Sure.
And we've got land in the county. The majority of the land in the county is zoned agricultural.
mm-hmm.
And the next biggest chunk is RD2, which is more of the rough ground. Maybe it's got some pasture or trees, timber type things.
Okay.
But the state statute says that the wind and solar can be built on anything that's currently farmed. We're farming the RD2 ground.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that the RD2 ground is open for development for wind and solar? I'm kind of thinking it probably does.
Right.
Even though our ordinance focuses on agricultural ground.
Yeah. So, and then of course, there's another wrinkle in all this. You talked about trying to find. I feel bad saying this because I don't really think it's accurate, but trying to find those loopholes where you can insert your own your own ordinances and standards and those sorts of things where the state will allow you. So let's if that is not in place before a developer comes in and puts in an application and wants to develop, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to. That's what we're trying to do.
It's a race against time in a way.
Race against time, I think. The simple way would be just to adopt the state statute as the ordinance, and we think there's enough loopholes in this statute to allow for some local input into standards, but that'll do to tell.
Yeah,
when it's all done.
Yeah. Well, man, that's just a lot to take in. So I guess what is we'll wrap it up with this. Like, what's kind of next for land use, RPC, ZBA, county board? What's next in all this process for you all?
Well, like I said, the state's attorney is reviewing what's been proposed by the land use committee for the ordinance as it relates to the state legislature.
Sure.
We got regular duties of the RPC. This last month, they've been dealing with a proposed project out there by the stoplight there by the John Deere dealership. There was a development wanting to go in there. And of course, that turned out to be controversial. And we got two openings on the RPC. We had some the president and the vice president, or the chairman and the vice chairman of the group, their terms were up, and they said, "We're done."
So we got
that was Myers and Monica DeGrowie.
Okay.
Yeah, Kevin Myers and
So
they're not coming back. So we got to find two willing bodies to step up. And
now, is that a group that reorganizes internally, or do you appoint people to those particular posts?
They reorganize internally.
Okay, so you just appoint them, and then
now we appoint the ZBA chairman. But,
gotcha. Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Terry, I look at the clock. Let's take a time out here. Come back with some more. Terry Ferguson with the DeWitt County Board, vice chair of the board. He fills in today for Dan Matthews as we follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Friday. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. Corn starting the day slightly lower, beans lower, and wheat slightly higher. May corn 663 down 3/4. July corn down 3, 623. December new crop 554 3/4 down 2 3/4. May beans opening 1490 3/4 down 6 3/4. July beans down 11 1/4, 1457 1/4. November new crop 1292 1/2 down 8. May Chicago wheat up a penny to start the day 668 3/4. July wheat 680 3/4 up 3/4. September wheat up 1/4 690 3/4. May bean meal 447.20, that's down 410, and May bean oil 54.52 up 9 cents. Look at the opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Friday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
If you think a new or used car is in your future, the time is now to call the Baum Chevrolet Buick sales team here in Clinton or Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. With a professional sales consultant in your corner, the vehicle search is easy. Meet with our sales team to go over your wants and needs. We'll start the search and do all the legwork for you. With so many models and options to choose from, we can help you get the information you need. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Terry Ferguson. He is the vice chair of the DeWitt County Board, filling in for Dan Matthews today as we follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. And Terry, let's talk a couple of items of interest. First of all, the animal shelter, a couple of things there. What do you have for us?
Yes, we've been restaffing the animal shelter. We had the administrator resign, and the assistant resigned a couple weeks ago. And
so now we're without an administrator again.
no, we do have an administrator.
Oh, okay.
We've got Holly Gilbaugh.
I was going to say, I
as
thought
our administrator.
Okay.
And she's stepping up and doing a real fine job. And but it's kind of a 2-person operation, and we've been relying on volunteers to help Holly with the shelter. We've reduced the hours and some of the activities that we normally do until we can get fully staffed. And I believe they've got a person that they've interviewed and has accepted the job, but of course it won't take place until they pass all their pre-employment testing and all that. But hopefully next week we'll have the assistant in place, and the plans are to have one of the full-time people work Monday through Friday, and the other one work from Tuesday through Saturday. So we'll have the hours that the shelter will be open on Saturday.
have some coverage out there.
And then we approved a contract for a cleaning person to go in and clean the shelters on Sunday.
There you go.
And
I know that's a big challenge out there. It's
yes,
just keeping it
is.
clean. Yeah,
it is.
sure.
And we were surprised. I think it was Wednesday. The Illinois Department of Ag pulled a surprise inspection on the facility. And even though we were shorthanded, they gave praises to the operation. They said it was one of the cleanest and nicest facilities that they've seen in a long time.
Certainly
So
is nice.
It is nice. And, one of the things we did is after the administrator left and we had a company come in and kind of deep clean everything. And I got it whipped into shape, and the shelter looks real nice. So currently they've got 8 dogs out there. So that's kind of a handful for one person keep clean and take care of the 8 dogs, and Lord knows how many cats we've got.
A lot of cats.
A lot of cats.
Always a lot of cats out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, no question. Well, Terry, as it relates to just the animal shelter, anything of it, once they get that second person on, will the hours go back to normal?
They'll
probably?
go back and actually be expanded a little bit from the previous.
There you go.
hours. So
There you go.
plan on being open on Saturday.
Sure. Let's wrap it up today, Terry. Talk about the marina and the latest there.
Yeah, real quick. We approved last year. We took the concrete islands out of the parking lots to make more room for vehicles to park, and they were just gravel. The areas where those were just gravel. And previously, we approved the contract to oil and chip those areas so we can get the parking lot. So we can get the parking lanes and the roadways, get them marked and striped and all that. So
Sure. So
they started that process yesterday.
any movement on? I know the exploration of the sale of the marina. Any
Well,
movement there?
We've entered into an arrangement with an appraisal group, and that was, when was that? 11th, I think, the 10th or the 11th.
Okay.
And they said it would take it'd take around 6 weeks to get a report back on the appraisal.
Okay.
We got to do that to kind of see where we're at.
Sure.
And we do have some people interested in purchasing the facility.
That's good.
Folks with some experience
Good.
in the business. So
Easy enough.
yeah,
For sure. Well, Terry, like I said, a few minutes yet still. Anything on the marina you want to dive into? Anything else from Thursday you want to dive into?
No, I think we pretty well covered. Well, we did all of our normal stuff. We did the approvals for recertifying the IMRF retirement program for the employees. That has to be done every year. We had a lot of appointments. This was the month where the fire districts have a lot of vacancies, and so we probably did about 10 or 12 of those, got those appointments made.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about the road and bridge stuff. Is that much of that? Is that with the Revere Road project from last night, or what was that
the
about?
Revere Road project, I think, is supposed to begin construction late June, early July
All right.
on the first phase.
And they're totally redoing that, right? I've got that right, correct?
They're gonna redo both ends of it here this year. That's where the worst of it's at, and then next year they'll finish it up.
There you go. So that'll be a real nice.
That'll be a nice improvement.
Yes, it will. I was just on that road the other day, actually, and it has really gotten bad. So yeah, it's in rough shape. Well, Terry, you in the field yet? What are you doing there?
Oh, just kind of waiting for it to warm up and dry off.
Yeah. It feels like you warm up and then it gets wet and cold, and then you
Yeah.
warm up and it's wet and cold again.
Yeah,
So
tired of the wind blowing.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. So hopefully we get some of that good weather coming your way here soon.
Yep.
All right, Terry. Well, it's always good to see you, and thank you for filling in for Mr. Matthews today. It was good to have you back.
Well, thanks for having me.
Definitely. Terry Ferguson, Vice Chair of the DeWitt County Board, my guest in studio, again fills in for Board Chair Dan Matthews. The morning show, as I should say, we follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Of course, we're live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.